I'm going to give you an extremely abbreviated version of my 10-year bout with postpartum depression and some of the turns that it took. I had 2 boys and 2 mild doses of postpartum depression. It wasn't until I had my 3rd son that the depression really kicked in. I'd heard of women, that hurt their children, talked about it, abandoned them, and I thought, how could you even think of that? How could you even consider harming an innocent little child, What kind of monster would do that? Me. Though I never actually hurt my children, those thoughts were with me every single day. And in the beginning, that's what happens. You end up in a cycle. You're frustrated, you're angry, you're scared, you're alone, and you could quite literally, if you aren't aware of what's happening to you, hurt your child with no control. That's when I knew I needed help. I had myself locked in the bathroom on the phone with my husband at the time, trying to convince him that it was not safe for me to be around our children, that I could hurt our children. That's when I knew I needed help. So I went to the hospital, and I thought, here, I'll get my help. Sorry. It ended up being a 10-year experience for me. In fact, when the planes flew into the towers in New York City, I can tell you exactly where I was, and that was on the 7th floor in the TV lounge at the Old South Street Hospital. I ended up being able to go home for a weekend, not long after I had been in there, and I was so excited because I felt like me again. I was outside, I was playing with the kids, we were playing catch, we were having a great time, and I couldn't wait to get back to the hospital and share that with the doctors. But that excitement was short-lived because what I was doing was totally wrong. My reactions and my actions were inappropriate. So therefore, I must also be bipolar. So now I have a whole other diagnosis on top of the postpartum. It was also determined that I was very hard to treat medicinally because for some reason I like to get every single side effect known to man when it comes to drugs. But my story takes way too long to go into great detail. But things did start to turn around for me. And by turn around, his name was Dr. David O'Donnell. And he's someone I said I wish I could clone, that everybody needs a Dr. O'Donnell in their back pocket. When I first started to see him, he was, like everybody else. He adjusted my medication, he adjusted my doses. He even had me speak with the head of psychiatry here in London. And I knew the first time I met her, I still wasn't going to get the help I needed, that she still wasn't going to believe me. And I was right. Her final mode of treatment for me, she said, was going to be shock therapy, that there was nothing further they could do for me medicine-wise. And I thought, no, you're not. I've seen what that does, and I'm not doing that. Keep in mind, she made this recommendation after only seeing me 3 times, and there was about a 2-month gap in between each of those visits. I didn't see Dr. O'Donnell at all while I was seeing her. Sorry, I've lost it again. Anyways, so I decided, because I knew I wasn't going to get the help from her, I decided I have to fix myself. I've got to do it. Nobody else is going to do this for me. I'm going to say this, though. I don't recommend that anybody else do what I did. My case was completely different than anybody else's case, and everybody's situation is different. But because I'd been going through this for 10 years, I knew how to wean myself safely off medications and whatnot. And the reason I did this was because I had gotten to a point with the medications where I could barely walk. Sometimes I couldn't talk. I couldn't sign my name. I had to sign an X. I couldn't eat soup because the spoon was empty by the time, it got to my mouth. So I decided I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it myself. So I weaned myself off the medication, carefully, very carefully. And as I was coming off the medication, weight started to come off. which is another horrific side effect with all these antidepressants, is weight gain. So I thought, if I'm going to heal my mind, why not heal my body too? So I went back to the gym. So that was a double dose of goodness, because working at the gym helped me work out a lot of frustrations and a lot of anger that I had over my situation. It was about a year before I went back to see Dr. O'Donnell. And when I did, his receptionist went down to the office and told him that I was here, and told him that he wouldn't know who I was. And I walked into his office, and he didn't say a word. For 3 sessions, he never commented about my appearance. He never commented about my lack of medications. He just talked to me and let me vent and whatnot. And then on the 4th visit, he said to me, he goes, "Sherry," he goes, "I don't know what you're doing," he goes, "but don't stop." He goes, "What we were doing wasn't working for you." He goes, "We weren't helping you." He goes, "You used to tell me what you were like." He said, "You used to tell me how you got out there and played with your kids, how outgoing you were used to be and whatnot." He goes, "But I never had anything to gauge it by, because I only ever saw you after you were sick." He goes, "What did you do?" So I told him. I said, "I got mad. I got angry." I said, "Nobody was listening to me. Nobody heard me when I said, 'That's not me. I'm not like that.'" I said, so I decided I'm going to fix myself. And in order to do that, you have to dig deep, okay? You have to find that determination that's inside of you. You have to find that ounce of anger that you have with your situation and turn it into determination. You have to fight for you, because nobody else is going to fight for you like you will. It's not easy. It's a long, lonely road. But if you know you, if you really truly know yourself, and you know you're not being heard, don't stop talking. Talk louder. Speak up, okay? Most important, listen, but listen to yourself. If you get a little twinge that says, "This isn't right, this isn't how it's supposed to be," then believe yourself. Nobody knows you better than you. There were times that I was so far down that rabbit hole, today didn't exist. There was no tomorrow for me. There was no light at the end of the tunnel until I started to fight for myself, until I stood up and I believed in myself that I could get better. Then that light came, and I fought for it, and I questioned the doctors, and I was threatened with shock therapy for doing that. But I was over-medicated, I was wrongly diagnosed, and I was given up on by the hospital and by my family. There wasn't anybody that was left to fight for me but me. So I did it, and I found myself again, and I got me back. It's hard, it's scary, and it's lonely. And if I could convince just one person just to hold on just a little bit longer, fight just a little bit harder, and believe in yourself. That's what you have to do, is believe in yourself. Then you're going to find that light. And I'm living proof of it. The tunnel ends, you can come out the other side, and you can be happy again. I have a fiance now. I have 3 grown children. I am a professional photographer at a local company. I have my own business. I have 1 grandchild. I have 2 more on the way. I have a future, I have a life, and I have me. Thank you.